All right, so today we're doing chapter 9. This is 9.1, and we're working with decimals. Now, we've done fractions before. When I give you 7 out of 10 pieces of cake, did I give you a whole cake? No, I did not. I gave you part of the cake. So a decimal shows the part also, and it can show different types of parts. So where this fraction is only showing a part of a whole, decimals, just like fractions, can go above a whole. So when we have 1 and 1/4, we have a decimal that has a 1 in it, a point, and then some other piece. It has a tenth and a hundredth. So let's talk about that. The tenths place is kind of like the ones place in a normal number. So let's draw that out. Let's take a look at that. So before we go any further, I'm going to erase my 7/10, and I'll show you what I mean. In number, we have the tens place and the ones place, and we break it down like this. So the number 12 looks like this. It's got a, whoops, I drew that backwards. Tens place and a ones place. We've got the ones over on this side. This is 2 ones, and then 110. 110 plus 2 ones makes 12. Well, in a decimal, after the decimal point, here's my decimal point, we have the tenths and the hundredth. So I could put 0.12, all right? So there's no oneths place. There's no oneth, because that wouldn't make any sense. After the decimal point, we start with tenths. Then we move to hundredths, then thousandths. So don't ever start, there's no oneth. We're starting after the decimal point. Think of the decimal point almost like the ones place. Tenths, then hundredths go next. So you fill in your numbers into the tenths place and the hundredth place after the decimal. So let's take a look at this decimal. We have 7/10, and I want to make 7/10 into a decimal. Well, do we have any ones? Do we have a whole cake? If I gave you 7/10 of a cake, did I give you a whole cake? No, I did not. I gave you no wholes. So I'm going to put 0 ones, and then I'm going to put my point, because that lets me know we're moving on to decimals. So I'm putting my decimal point. Now we just have to fill in the numbers. So 7/10 gives me 7/10. 0.7. 0.7 is what 7/10 is. And there's no hundredths, so I could even just put a 0, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it because there's nothing there anyway. So 0.7 is my decimal. Now, if I were to do that on a number line, it would look like this. 0 out of 10 would be 0, 0. 1 out of 10 would be 0.1. 2 out of 10 would be 0.2. Now let's see. Can't see past my own hair. Now let's see what 3 out of 10 would be. 3 out of 10. Can you guess what 3 out of 10 based on the pattern on top would be? 0.3. What about 4 out of 10? 0.4. And you can keep going all the way to 1. And you would write the decimal 1 as 1.0. This is 10 out of 10. I skipped a couple. 1.0 would be 10 out of 10 because there's no parts. So I can't write the parts on the other side. I just have a whole. So, if I move on to the first question, it says, Tara rode her bicycle 1 6/10 miles. What decimal describes how far she rode her bicycle? Well, let's take a look. We have 1. I'm going to erase my number line because I don't think we need it. We have 1 6/10. I'm going to draw my chart. This is ones. This is decimal point. So here's what we have. Ones, tenths, hundredths. Whoops. Spelled it wrong. Missed the D. There we go. So, do we have any ones? Any whole ones? Yeah, we do. We have a 1 right there. So I'm going to put that there, right in the ones section. And then I already know that I have a part, so I have to put my decimal point. Now, how many tenths do we have? How many parts of a whole? Well, we had said if I had 0 over 10, it'd be 0.0. If I have 3 over 10, it'd be 0.3. So now I have 6 over 10, so I can put my 6 right there. So she did this many miles in, as a decimal, 1.6. 1 and 6 over 10 is 1.6. Let's do another one. And I'm going to actually keep my chart, this way I don't have to keep redrawing it. Let's do number 6. We have 1 and 9 over 10. How can I rewrite that as a decimal? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to try and figure it out. Go. All right, so I know that I have a 1. I have a 1 that I can fill in. That's a whole. So I'm going to put it in my ones place. And because there's a fraction over here, I'm going to have to put in my decimal. Now, how do I fill this in? I have 9 tenths. Remember we had said last time, 6 over 10 is 0.6. So 9 over 10 must be 0.9. And boom, we're done. 1.9 is 1 and 9 tenths. Sorry, a little bit of a glare from the sunlight over there. I'm going to do a second video, and I'm going to take a look at the fraction, the model, the box model, to show you what that looks like. So when you come across questions like that, you'll be able to use that model to help you out.